Good morning, Dr. Jasim. Today, me and my groupmate will present to you a case study about Apple in modern slavery. Before we start, let me introduce my group members. My name is Elvin, followed by Ziyun, Scott, and Darren. I will cover the introduction and conclusion. Actually, slavery has already happened in the past 50 years, but it still exists in today's world. It happened between every country, races, and ages. This case study talk about the slavery in Apple's supply chain. Their supply chain company has used Uyghurs to work for them. It is not a problem to hire Uyghurs for work. The problem is the company treat them as slaves. Their working hours are too long, living environment was bad, and so on. This has already against the international labor law. Companies need to practice ethics while doing business. Kantian ethic is an important business ethic that companies should follow. My other group members will explain in more detail later. Now I will pass it to the next speaker, Ziyun.
I'm Xianwei and I'll be covering the literature review. And there's two topics under literature review. Firstly, modern slavery, and secondly, Kantian ethics. Modern slavery is the severe exploitation of other people for personal gain or commercial gain. There are many types and forms of modern slavery. One of the most notable ones are forced labor, sex trafficking, child labor, and there is as well bonded labor. A study conducted by the International Labour Organization and several other studies have proved that there is 150 billion of illegal profit from MNEs and MNCs from forced labor. And of these, there is 40.3 million people under modern slavery, or there is 24.9 million people under forced labor. Notably, forced labor is under modern slavery, but modern slavery is not only subjected to forced labor. People who are subjected to modern slavery have high discrimination and a high harassment and exploitation exposure. A study from International Labour Organization also shows that these are the few indicators of high possibility of modern slavery or forced labor. Poverty, high corruption, unemployment, weak governance, illiteracy, and and also the limitation of movement stated by few other articles. Kantian ethics, a non-consequential ethics developed by Immanuel Kant that focuses on our duty, which is in this context we focus on the duty of a MNC or MNE as a moral business entity. The first formulation, it focuses on the universal law. What you will do will be reflective onto you and others as well. For whatever action you take, others will treat the same as to you. The second formulation, it suggests that treating others as ends but never as a means is to never to use others as one's own benefit, but to treat others with dignity and respect as beings of moral worth, but never as mere means, as an object or instrument for one's own ends. The third formulation, it suggests that companies, in this context, that companies should act in a manner that holds themselves responsible as to act as a role model to provide examples on how to conduct themselves and to set aside interests in order to fulfill duties. Duties in this context would be to be beneficial to others, and in the context of a business entity, it will be corporate social responsibility (CSR). Now moving forward, I shall pass it to Scott.
Thank you. So, hi, I'm going to talk about the data collection method that we used during the whole assignment. In order to have a good and precise information, we use honest journal research and report which were being published by research scholars and professors. It must also be noted that all information that we included on Apple were collected from its annual report, and we make sure that our data was not more than 10 years ago in order to avoid drifting away from our main objective. Now I will pause to Darren, who will talk on the finding part, then I will come back again to talk on the discussion part. Thank you.
To further discuss about the modern slavery in multinational company in this modern world, we will discuss about two countries that use forced labor and involved in Apple's supply chain. The first country is Democratic Republic of Congo, where this case involved in forced child labor. Forced child labor are forced to mine a material called cobalt, and cobalt are used to make smart devices, and those materials were shipped to 5 big technology companies including Apple. Due to the demand of cobalt and poverty of Congo family, parents will force their children to mine instead of study for earning money to sustain their family. Besides, there are some reports showing that their underage children in Congo are forced to mine as young as 6 years old, and they were all underpaid. For the next case, we will talk about Xinjiang China forced labor. A unit of Hong Kong government group called ESCO and 10 other Chinese companies committed violation of human rights, including forced labor. Due to the demand of government products are made by forced labor and supplied to at least 82 well-known global brands, including Apple. And this concludes that Apple is silently promoting forced labor by continue buy those products, and those products are made by forced labor. However, to decide the action of Apple company is good or bad based on Kantian theory, first we need to analyze those cases. In Xinjiang case, ESCO and 10 other companies have violated the human rights by involving forced labor and treat them inhumane way. Besides, there are one more China company, which is supply Apple company manufacture cameras, which is Nanchang Old Film Company. This company force their labor to work excessive hours, restriction their movement, threaten their family, monitoring with security, and lastly create abusive work environment. This situation can be analyzed by using Kantian universalizability principle. Chinese treated them as a slavery more than human without any respect and not giving them any freedom. Therefore, the Chinese company is completely wrong. Next, I will pass it to Scott for the discussion.
Thank you, Darren. So this discussion part will provide solution on how to stop modern slavery and show the importance and role of the trade unions. As mentioned in the assignment, trade unions are one of the most influential groups which can effectively contribute to this solution, which I will mention. So first of all, with the help of the quality legislation, trade unions must check whether the companies are in line with the policies and prevent them from exploiting the laborers with inappropriate contracts. Moreover, trade unions must also review the policies of the private employment agencies so that companies do not take advantage of the recruitment process and follow the legal framework. Also, as the laborers have limited resources at their disposal, it is very essential to provide them protection such as physical securities, psychological and social support in order to help them to overcome this hard situation. In addition to that, it is very important to provide the forced labor impartial advice concerning the appropriate policies and administrative proceedings, which will help them to take better decisions. Lastly, trade unions can use the new technologies so as to effectively raise awareness on modern slavery and put pressure on the companies in order to make them follow the policies. So now I will pause to Alvin for the conclusion. Thank you.
In order to stop modern slavery, government and non-governmental organizations should intervene. Government should revise legal and regulation to make severe punishment against those companies who practice modern slavery. Non-governmental organizations should work closely with government in order to reduce modern slavery. Besides, Kantian ethics should be applied in more sectors such as M&E. However, Kantian ethics should be more flexible to fit in case-to-case scenario. It should weigh on the consequential outcome to direct a business morally. That's all for our presentation today. Thank you.